Alright guys, welcome to your last lecture video on forensics and in chemistry in general. So I want to go through what this whole unit looks like so that way nobody's confused. Everything that was on your quiz, which bravo by the way on your quiz, y'all did a great job, is going to be on your test. So make sure that you watch the Intro to Forensics, Gathering Evidence Part 1 and Part 2. Those were all the things that were on your quiz. And then the next sections are labeled as follows. So you can, underneath forensics, you'll see a section called Collecting/Testing Evidence. And under that section, you will have this video to watch, which is going to be extremely short. And then you will have 3 YouTube videos to watch under the Collecting/Testing Evidence section. One of the videos is on DNA testing. The other 2 videos are going to be on dusting for fingerprints and how we collect fingerprints. All 3 of those videos are absolutely fascinating, but the video that's 15 minutes long, and it's actually the forensic expert showing the girl how to do it on different surfaces, is just so cool. I loved every second of it. So rather than me teaching you how to dust for fingerprints and all of that via lecture and with a boring PowerPoint, I thought, why not watch a forensic expert actually do it? And it's really, really interesting stuff. So make sure that you watch those. And then the last section is called Being a Forensic Scientist, and it's 2 really short videos. I think they're both 2 to 4 minutes long, just about the day in the life of being a forensic scientist. One is someone who studies, I want to say that they actually work with like murder cases and stuff, like actually analyzing blood samples and stuff for that purpose. But the other one is actually involved in drug testing. So we forget about, or at least I forget about, with forensics, drug testing would be involved as well. And so watch those 2 videos just to kind of see if either one of those fields piques your interest, because chemistry is a big deal for both of them. So let me make my little window a little bit bigger here. Hello. So anyways, the first section of collecting evidence, collecting/testing evidence with the fingerprint and the DNA profile, I think it's going to take you maybe a total of 25 minutes to watch those videos. So it's not a super long thing, and you have until Thursday as your test, Thursday, May 14th at 11 a.m. So you have until Thursday to watch about a total of, with the forensic scientist videos and with this video, be a total of about maybe 35 minutes for you to watch and to take notes. So I have written here, and I have underneath the videos as well, what I want you to make note of with the DNA and the fingerprinting videos. So don't just watch them and be like, oh cool, there are some things that I want you to make note of, which I have right here. But the first thing I want us to talk about before I talk about DNA and fingerprinting is something called forensic expert, also known as forensic witness. So what this is if a case goes to trial and forensic testimony. Okay, sorry, checking out Ireland. She's in her little pack and play, but sometimes she falls and she starts to cry, and it's very sad. So sometimes whenever a case goes to trial, they require what's called a forensic witness. And this is a forensic scientist who gets up and who actually talks about the case and what they found in the case. I'll be honest, I looked up forensic witness testimonies on YouTube to kind of maybe show y'all a clip or 2 of what that actually looks like. One, they're typically very boring because it's just a lot of like questioning and they're just answering questions and whatever. But a lot of times when a forensic witness is used, that means that a lot of sensitive stuff happened in the case. So I didn't want to show you guys anything like that because there's a lot of sensitive topics being discussed in the courtroom. But what I just want y'all to know is that basically the head of the forensic science case, whoever is heading that up, is going to potentially be called as a forensic witness. And basically they're going to tell you like who the major contributors of DNA were, the suspects involved. They would be cross-examined by the prosecution and the defense attorneys. So they might be called, so this is how it works. You don't really need to know this part of it, but just to kind of, expand your knowledge of life. So they have forensic scientists. So the prosecution, which is usually going to be the state. So if there is a murder that happens, it's going to be the state that prosecutes the accused and arrests them. So it would be the state versus Deanna Brigman, who is the accused. So the prosecution would get their own forensic scientists to test the DNA. And then the defense attorney either has, so that's the person representing the person accused. The defense attorney either has the option of being like, okay, cool, I'm good with this forensic scientist testing the data, the prosecution's results, I'm good with that. Or they're going to get their own forensic scientists to test the data. And so sometimes you have forensic scientists actually competing in testimony. And so that's why it's so important as a forensic scientist to make sure that you are a person of integrity that cannot be bought for a testimony, but also that you just give the facts. You don't give your bias, you don't give your you don't give an opinion other than your scientific opinion about what the facts say, because these are people's lives at stake. So it's just really important as a as a scientist, but also as a forensic witness, to make sure that you're being truthful and honorable, and not just making the evidence look like how you want it. That you're actually reporting the evidence honestly and fairly. Sorry, she got really quiet all of a sudden, so I was like, what's she doing? So that's just something to kind of keep in mind. Forensic science can make or break a case. We see it with cases all throughout history. I could name quite a few that forensic science either blew up a case, meaning that the lack of evidence or the way that evidence was handled made it so an arrest or a imprisonment could not be made, and it put in the minds of jurors what's called reasonable doubt. And if there is a seed of reasonable doubt within the minds of jurors, who ultimately are the people who listen to the whole trial and then convict, or they either convict or say that the person is innocent, who is being put on trial. So there are so many cases where if forensic was badly handled by police or forensic scientists, that the defense attorney could come in and say, look, this wasn't appropriately done, so really all of this should be thrown out. You shouldn't use this forensic evidence as any evidence because it wasn't handled properly. And it's actually, in several famous cases, that person has been able to walk because of how the forensic evidence was cleared and how they testified with the forensic evidence, because it planted a seed of reasonable doubt in the minds of jurors. So all of that to say, I really like this topic of forensic science. All of this to say that this is so important. So if this is something that you are going to pursue, or maybe it's not even something that you're going to pursue, but maybe it's something that you're into, as far as, if an event like that happened where some type of trial took place, or maybe one day you'll be a juror. We all have jury duty, right? At some point or another. And maybe you will be selected as a juror for a high-profile murder case or something like that. You need to be able to go in with a mind that is, I'm going to listen to these forensic experts, and I'm going to assume that they're being as truthful and as honest as can be with this evidence, and that they don't have any bias to them, but that they're just reporting the facts. So this really is an important topic, and very interesting as well, and can save lives, which is, how can a topic get any better than that, right? So, a couple of things I want you to note about the DNA testing videos is, what can we get DNA from? And what I mean by that is, what kind of samples do we have to have in order to get DNA? There's 3 types that are talked about in this video that I want you to watch. The definition of Loki, and it's not Thor's brother, so please don't put that. Okay. So I want that definition, and then what's really cool about the DNA video on YouTube, which there's a link to, they actually have at the end, they test you to see if you're able to match the sequences of DNA with who actually committed the crime. I think it's like a jewelry store theft or something like that, and they leave a blood sample, and they actually show you the DNA strips, and you have to be able to match them. It's intense stuff. So then with the fingerprinting videos, I want you to make note of the different types of prints that there are, and also I want you to there's a certain dusting fiber that they use. This one in particular that I'm talking about is actually a black dusting fiber. So there's also a white one. But this dusting fiber found in the first video, I want you to tell me what actually it's made of. And by the way, we'll go over all of this on your test review video. So if you don't find the answers to these questions, don't freak out, because I'll make sure that I have the answers for you on the test review. The definition of microcell, leucocrystal violet, and I'm going to mess this up, but molybdenum disulfide. So you know what disulfide is, right? Okay. So make notes of what those things are. And what kind of base does the fingerprint powder have, the white powder have? You'll see that in the second fingerprint video. And what do we use to lift fingerprints off of smooth surfaces? Because in the video, the forensic expert talks about how it's much easier to gather fingerprints from smooth surfaces rather than porous surfaces, or from surfaces that have, all kinds of textures, or, they're not completely flat. So anyways, go and watch those videos, because they are much more interesting than I am, and just enjoy yourself. And don't forget your test on Thursday, May the 14th at 11 a.m., and I hope you guys have a fabulous weekend.